Let me see. I was born in Richmond, Virginia. We were here for a short period of time. My dad was an ex-con. My dad did time for a body, so he always kept beef. You know what I mean? When you take somebody's life, when you come home from prison, and he only did 2 years on a self-defense plea. So when he came home, the beef was
Yeah.
still real fresh. You know what I mean? Like shit was still live in the streets. So then I was born. All types of shit popped off from that murder. So we moved. We moved to Charlotte. Um, Grew up in North Carolina. Pops was super abusive. You know what I mean? Like a really, really bad childhood. So rather than be in the house, I always wanted to be in the streets to the point that I would sneak out in the middle of the night and get my ass whooped behind it and turn around and do it again tomorrow because I didn't want to be at home. we get
Yeah, I can relate to that.
Yeah, like the household gets to be so toxic that it's just like you don't care what the repercussions are for sneaking out or not coming home or whatever it may be because you're gonna get that either way. You get your ass beat for nothing. You get beat up in my household for nothing, like grown man beat downs, right? So whatever. So I get to like the age I'm like 10, 11 years old. First time I get locked up, I brought a big ass knife, like this Rambo knife, to school, and I was a small kid. Not to mention I'm being physically abused at home. So I got shit going on mentally, right? So when other kids
Well,
would
why do you think you brought that to school? You were trying to
I
press
know I
people?
brought I because I was being bullied. I was being jumped by these three
Oh,
kids. I still remember them. That's how crazy my memory is. Cam, Cooter, and Rico. They would jump me every day. So I'm like, you know what? I steal this knife from a yard sale. And this is like when Rambo was out. This knife is it's a big ass knife for a 10-year-old to have. It's a big ass knife for a grown man to have.
you got one of those butcher knives.
So I go in the bathroom. I'm at the urinal. They come in, dude pushes me. I turn around, I pull the knife out. And I was one of those kids that if you made me mad enough, I'd start crying. When I started crying, it was like bad. It was really bad. Like chew your
That's
face
how you
off,
know
gouge your eyeball out. Like there are no limits when the tears come. So I pull the
you
knife
got to
out.
crash
I
out.
start flashing. I don't get nobody. Luckily, everybody runs out and they start screaming for the teachers. One of the staff members grabs me, slams me. Boom. Off to the detention center I go. After that incident there, I really think like looking back on it, to get locked up at such a young age, it desensitized me. So now the things you're supposed to be like afraid of, the consequences that come with doing things, you start to lose that fear. So at a young age, I started to lose the fear of like being locked up. So the shit that other kids wouldn't do, I would do it. You know what I mean? Like, no, I'm not gonna throw that rock. Boom, I'll throw it through the window. I'm that badass little kid now because I don't really fear the consequences. Plus, my life is so bad at home. And this is sad to say, but it's like reality. My life is so bad at home that there were times I would rather be in the detention center. You know what I mean? There were
Yeah,
times the cops were like, we're gonna let me go. And I'm like, nah, y'all gotta take me to the detention center because I can't go
that's how
home.
you know it's bad.
Right. Cause when I go home, like now that there's been an incident with the police, my dad's super paranoid. You know, he's got he we when we left North Carolina when I was 12 and we moved to Richmond. And he was always super paranoid because he was running from shit. He had did shit. He was wanted. Like he died wanted. When I was 17, he died. He was still wanted. So anytime like the cops would be brought near the house, he would flip all the way out. Like you might get beat half to death on that day. You know what I mean? So if I got in trouble with the cops, I would prefer them to lock me up than take me home. Like
Because you know what's going to come.
I've told the police, take me, like, lock me up. And if you're not gonna lock me up, I'll do some dumb shit. You know what I mean? Like, I'll tell the cops that. I'll kick the shit out this car. I'll smash your windshield in. Like, I'm going to the detention center off this incident because what they want to do is take you home, and they want to speak to your
Yeah.
parents. You know what I mean? Like, they want to talk to you. That's not an option. So I stay getting in trouble. Um, I'm broke, and everybody around me. I'm talking about as a teenager. Everybody around me is they're hustling. You know what I mean? Like that's just I grew up. My dad hustled, my uncles hustled, the people in the neighborhood hustled. So naturally, not to say I was a product of my environment, but I just gravitated towards what I'd always saw. You know, started off selling weed, just like anybody. I think everybody, for the most part, started bagging up nicks and dimes. You know what I mean? That's like the drug dealer starter kit. You know what I mean? It's like your first
Yeah.
digi. Back then we had we had the big boy scale. You know what I mean? Like what's that shit called? I'm talking the big long ass one you would see in school, right? Um,
Yeah.
So I get into that. Then I get into the pills. Then the coke comes. Then I realized that in selling coke, a lot of people didn't want coke. My friends, the guys I knew my age wanted coke, but the older people wanted crack. You know what I mean? So I'm like, so then I get into now I'm dibbling and dabbling and selling that. Well, I'm 19 the first time. Like I've been in and out of jail since 18, since before 18. You know what I mean? I'm in and out the system. But at 19, I catch a robbery case in Philadelphia. I was already wanted here in Virginia. I had a shit ton of charges. Jump out squad. They're going to everybody's house looking for me. So I had to get out of state. So we're out Philly, and I straight up, I'm there like 5 days. You know what I mean? Never been out there before in my life. So I don't, you know what I mean? All I know is like the area I'm in, Southwest, and the dudes I know from being out there. 5 days after being out there, I get locked up on this robbery and a whole gang of fucking charges. They trumped up all these charges on me. So I end up going to a place called CFCF. For all my Philly cats in the house, salute. Um, Treacherous. You know what I mean? People talk about jails, you think of like LA and you think of Chicago. Philly's jails are, if just watch
I heard
videos
about them.
on Philly. Just watch videos on Philly in general. And then
I just
take all
interviewed a
them,
guy.
you take them
I,
crazy
I
motherfuckers you see
yeah.
in them videos and put them in jail, and that's what you're gonna deal with. So I sat in there, I pleaded out. I ended up the dude, I had my people finding, tracking down, and paying not to come to court. You know what I mean? They're supposed to null process it. They're not null processing it. They're searching for this dude. And when they find him, they're gonna make him. This is what they're saying. They're gonna make him go to court. I've been to court several times now. You know what I mean? Months have passed, I've been locked up. They said,
They
look,
trying to
take this,
get you.
yeah, take this 11 and a half to 23, and you can go home. Meaning I can do a minimum of 11 and a half or 23 if I max it out, right? So I know how to move. I'm not an idiot. At 19 years old, I know how to bid. I'm not a crash test dummy. Like I know how to move. So I end up, I finish off the 11 and a half months. I get out. No sooner I come back to Virginia, I got warrants. They scoop me up. 3 days later, I'm back in jail. From there, it was just, that was life. You know what I mean? It was in, out, hustle, in, out, hustle. And then at 24 years old, I caught a robbery that sent me away for 10 years. Like I took a plea, 40 years. It was 20 years on the robbery, 20 years on the malicious wounded, 20 suspended on the malicious wounding, 10 suspended on the robbery with 10 to serve because I already had a prior robbery conviction out of Philadelphia, which is also a Commonwealth state. So, yeah, man, at 24 years old, it's off to prison for the next 10 years.
Yeah, and is that last bit right there? Is that what got your mind right? Where you're like, I don't want to do this no more.
Fuck yeah. 10 years is a long time. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, were you nervous at all when you were going in there for that 10 years?
I was desensitized. I lost like and I know this sounds crazy. People be like, that's bullshit, but it's real. You lose the fear. I've been through so many different jails. I've been locked up, not to mention I've been back to jail in Philly a bunch of times after that 19-year-old incident. You know what I mean? Like Philly became like my second home. Like my brother, my best friend is from Philly. And that's where we be at. And I'm eventually gonna do some dumb shit. I'm gonna get locked up. So it just like I've been through so many different phases of incarceration that it was just like going to jail. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The
What
craziest
taught
thing
you?
though, it took me a long time before it set in on me that I had to do 10 years. That I will
Yeah,
say. Like
that's
I
a
got my
long
time
time.
and it was like, all right, I got 10 years, But you get 6, 7, 8 years down the road, and you're like, yo, these bitches gave me 10 years. I'm still here. You
You
know what I
start seeing
mean? Like
everybody else go home.
I'm that and like my people that are visiting me, I'm watching them grow up in the visitation room. I don't see you for a while. The next, like, especially the kids, I don't see the kids for a while.
Yeah,
And the next time I see them, I'm like, damn, boy, you got a mustache. Like, you was
yeah.
in
That's what I was
diapers.
about to say. That right
Like,
there, that hit me hard when you said that. You said, like your baby boy's born. By the time you see him again, he's got a mustache. That part right there
like,
hit me hard.
and it was stupid. Here's the craziest thing about it all. And I, with my channel, I try to preach this, man. I tell these stories, hoping, that people don't end up ever having to live that life. Like, You might laugh, you
Yeah,
might joke, but when you're in the midst of that shit is not funny. There's nothing funny
it's
about
not.
it. When you've got to fight somebody, we tell the war stories and we talk this, we talk that. That shit is not fun. There's nothing fun about it. There's times you're gonna have butterflies. Your whole body's gonna feel like it's filled with butterflies before you go in that cell. You know what I
You
mean?
get
There's
the
gonna be
shakes
times
and
you gotta
everything.
fight guys that you know, like you're doubting yourself before you go in there. Like, man, I don't know if I can beat this dude. You know what I mean? But you still
You already
go
know
in
you
there
ain't got
with,
to win.
yeah, you go in there and you give it 110% because that's what everybody else expects. The last thing they expect is you to turn around and walk off. Like if you do that, they're like, oh, this dude's a fucking clown. You know what I mean? Now
Yeah,
you got to deal with everybody else around you. Just don't never loan nothing out now because ain't nobody gonna pay you back. Like, so you got to
yeah, you already
stand
know
on it,
that.
you know, like, but
What's the
it took me, go ahead.
respect is big in there. How big is respect?
It's everything.
It's
It's
everything.
everything. Like respect is required from the toughest, you know what I mean, of toughest dudes you'll ever meet, down to the dude that was smoking crack for the last 15 years. Everybody wants their respect. You know what I mean? You're gonna respect me. The most disrespectful men in the world are screaming and standing on, I want my respect. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
if you ain't got respect, like it's gonna be bad, it's gonna be a real bad time for you. You're not gonna have nothing. Dudes are gonna take this shit. Like, so you gotta do what you gotta do.
You know what's crazy? When the last time I went to jail, I was in there and I remember my cellie telling me, he was like, "Man, that guy's a crackhead, but he's walking around and he's got more respect than I do." And I'm sitting there thinking, I'm like, "Damn, that dude comes in and out of jail, and he knows some of these people. His name is clean, and you borrowing stuff. Yeah, that crackhead, he might be a crackhead, but he's got more respect than you. Respect is everything. You know what I mean?
Mhm. And I mean, that's why I said you can be a dude that smoked crack for the last 15 years. You know what I mean? If you're willing to stand on business every single time, none of that other shit matters. That's all
Yeah,
dudes care about. It's like, is your name good? If you borrow something, are you gonna give it back? You know what I mean? Or are living by the convict code? You're not in here gossiping. You ain't over there fucking with the boys. You know, there's so many different things that you're gonna get your respect just by not doing. And then there's some things that if you don't do, you're not gonna get respect. You know what I mean? Like it's that world.
yeah. What's some of the craziest things you've seen when you did that 10 years?
I don't even know where to begin. Like I
It's,
really wouldn't know. I wouldn't know where to begin. Like from violence to just stupid shit. I seen a dude named Football, and we called this bitch Football because he was so fat that his knees buckled out, and his knees like looked like footballs, like the size of them. Like it was just weird, right? I watched this
eating
dude
too many
jump from the
noodles.
right, and he's three plus, right? And he's only probably 5'6", 5'7". I watched this dude jump from the second tier for 2 packs of icy white cookies.
That's
Cookies.
a high.
That's $1.58. Like and I guess he didn't realize how much like weight was following him as he was going to jump. Dude, this dude jumped and broke both his legs. I'm talking about compound fractured both his legs, splat right in the middle of the floor for cookies. You know what I mean? Like they're desperate to get. And as he's leaving out of there, he's yelling to the dude. I'm talking about in all types of bro, make sure, hey, grab them cookies from him, grab them cookies from him. Like
He's still worried
frustrated,
about the
like
cookies.
still worried about the cookies. I
God,
seen, shit of that caliber all the way up to people lose their lives. I seen a guy try to escape and get tangled up in the razor wire. I'm talking about tangled in the razor wire, leaking. He's upside down, and that shit is wrapped around his leg, and that shit is like holding him by one
yeah,
leg. And the
that ain't no
guards are out
joke.
there. Bro, the guards are out there with their cell phones. They're out there with their cell phones taking videos of him. Like he's screaming, "Give me the and they're like videotaping. You know what I mean? Like. And then when it comes to violence, there was so many. The place I was at for the longest time, I was there a little over 8 years. If you look it up, it's Greensville Correctional. It's where they carry out the death penalty. If you
Yeah,
if you die, that's where they take you to. That's your last home. 65% of the population has life. 70% of the population is gang. You know what
so
I
they're gonna
mean?
die there.
And it's over 3,000 inmates. Most compounds, it's somewhere between 500 to about 900 inmates. That's an average compound. This compound has 3,000 inmates, with 70% of that inmate population being gang related. 65% having life sentences. You know what I mean? Like, there were so many acts of violence, like shit that's not normal to see, shit that's hard to shake, shit that's hard to talk about at times, like shit that visits you in your dreams and you wake up sweating because in your dream, you're the guy that you saw getting attacked.
Yeah.
I seen a dude hit a guard up. This is how fucking severe this shit got. And the guard, crazy enough, after this whole incident, this guard, he goes and becomes a probation officer. So I feel bad for the person that got this guard, right? As a PO. But this guard would run his mouth. And when I mean run his mouth, he's a bigger dude, black dude. He would run his mouth and like get in dudes' faces, like do something. You know what I mean? Like he was one of those guards, he would legitimately take his utility belt off, go in the cell with you and rumble you. You know what I mean? And beat
Oh, you
your
thought he was
ass.
badass.
Like he was too street. That bitch was in the wrong uniform, right? Like he should have been in the same blues we was in. He gets to arguing with this dude, and this dude is like 6 months. You always hear about how the dudes have short time. This dude legitimately has like 5, 6 months before he goes home. But the dude's fucked up in the head. He's always talking to himself. Short, fat, black dude. Short. I'm talking like 5'5", 5'6", but probably 240 pounds. Really bad teeth. Like mama didn't love him enough to take him to the dentist because them shits was fucked. Like just crisscrossed. Like he been eating concrete cookie looking ass teeth, like messed up
God.
mouth. He gets to arguing with this guard. He gets to arguing with Brantley right in the middle of the pod. This is first thing in the morning. We just come back from chow. We got a lockdown, and then they do movement. You know what I mean? School, classes, all that. And then we come out for rec. We come back. He gets to arguing with his guard. Boom, 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 boom. And the guard's telling him, I'll beat you. Take your pussy ass in the cell. And he tries to fight the guard right then and there. We stop it. We had just come off of a lockdown for a stabbing. You know what I mean? No, stop, chill. We supposed to go to the store today. We ain't been to commissary in like 3 weeks. Like, fuck no, you ain't doing this. Like, nah. We go back in the cell, we come out, they do movement, and he goes cell to cell, and he's asking for toothbrushes, right? You got a toothbrush? I said, I just got the one I use and the one I clean my sneakers with. All right. My celly gives him one. So I see him, he's got like a big ass handful of toothbrushes. Don't think none of it. He's crazy, right? Crazy dude, a handful of toothbrushes. I've seen crazier. It's all right. He's then got a piece of the fence, you know, the ice pick. And he's got a
Yeah.
fucking, and this piece is it's probably every bit of about 6, 7 inches long. He done went in the cell now and he's melted these fucking toothbrushes and sat in there and took the time to make a fucking handle. That morning rec goes by and then we got, you know, the rec after lunch. On this day in general, I'm getting ready to go to the weight pit. I remember all this shit. I've got a towel over my shoulder and I've got a cup of water, right? And I'm getting ready to go out to the weight pit. And I've got a gray sweatshirt on, like just the ones they sell. Cold as a bitch outside. The guard is in front of me. We're going out the back door. The guard's in front of me. My homeboy's behind him. I'm there, and then dude is behind me, right? And then it's a whole bunch of other dudes ready to go out to the weight pile. The CO pops the door and swings the door open. And as soon as he does, the dude pushes by me and hits him in the center of his back. Boom! Right? Like,
The
and when he
CO?
hits him, yeah, he with the dude with the ice pick hits the CO right in the center of his back, right? And he's got this dark blue DOC jacket on. He hits him, boom, it sticks. And the dude, like he doesn't realize at the time that he's being attacked. I guess he thought the dude punched him, right? So he's trying to pull away, and the dude's still trying to pull the pick out of his back. So he finally gets it. When he does, it pulls a whole bunch of stuffing from inside the jacket out. The stuff's got blood all over it. And he just goes to hitting him with the ice pick, right? Over and over and over. I've got this fucking cup of coffee and this towel on my shoulder. It's like 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I get to the side because I know that towel, she will fucking blow his head, slam off his shoulders for attacking that guard with a knife. Like that's not a warning shot. That's a headshot.
You don't want to be collateral.
I step to the side, dude. The CO, as they're fighting, the CO hits dude on the bridge of his nose with the walkie-talkie. And the battery slides off the walkie-talkie. You know, you'll see the walkie-talkies on the charger station. They got them big-ass batteries. He hits dude and breaks dude's nose, and the battery comes off the walkie-talkie. So now he's trying to hit the panic button, and there's no fucking battery on the walkie-talkie. The lady they had just hired a new lady in the tower. That lady was scared to death. Guards are running in all areas. Now the knife pick is done bent. He hit the dude in the side of the head with it and it bent it. It like turned it into an L. Like they're good to the shorter the truth with the ice picks, the shorter the better. Because the longer it is, the bigger chance you got of it bending. You don't want that bitch to be but 3-4 inches. That's all you need. Anything bigger than that,
That's
it's
the
gonna
worst thing to
bend.
get hit by.
Right. So
Ice
he
pick's the worst thing to get hit by.
now they're on the ground and they're going. I mean, they're like, this guard is fighting for his life. And like I said, he's a big boy and he could rumble. There have been situations with him, like knucking up with inmates, and if he beats you, he's gonna write you a charge. You know what I mean? But if he loses, he'll let it go and keep it moving. That's how he carried it, right? They're rumbling. They're on the ground. They're screaming. They've come over the horn. The sirens going off. The whole nine. Well, I can hear these guards coming, and that shit legitly sound like something out of Jumanji. Like it sounded like a herd, and all you heard were keys and boots. And they unlocked the gate and they come through. And we're all on the ground at this point. It ain't but a handful of us out there. Other dudes, when they seen that shit as we were coming out, they stayed in the building. They slid back, and they were all piled up at the door watching. And the door's still propped open. Man, they run up on this dude and commenced to I'm talking, I remember after they drug him off, laying there on the ground and looking at his teeth. I still thinking about honestly in my mind thinking his mouth might look better now that those teeth are out of his mouth, but they stomped his teeth out and drug him off, right? That officer, they get him up. We laid there for a while, like, don't move, stay on the ground. Like they don't know who all's involved. They're, you know what I mean, foot on our necks, because it ain't but like 4 or 5 of us out there. And he's telling them, no, it's just him, it's just him. We go back in. We go back on lock. No sooner than we come off lock, these blood dudes stab another set of blood dudes coming out the back of another building. It was a nonstop. It's too many people. It's too many people. And the guards they were hiring were hood as a motherfucker. You know what I mean? Like the bitches being there talking to you about their baby daddies, and dudes be talking about you know what I mean? Just they used to hire super, super like ratchet, just hood guards. So then that floods the prison. They
We
ain't
had a lot of
making shit.
Somalian guards.
We had that. Well, that's now. Now them bitches are deep. You know what I mean? Like they're deep now. I didn't know what they were. I thought they were. I didn't know if they were. I didn't know what they were because they don't tell you their nationality. They're not going to share no intimate details. But yeah, I said the same thing. Like there's a small village somewhere near to every prison full of Somalis that go to work every day.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just one of those things where violence, like I could sit here all night and tell stories of shit like that. It was just violence was pretty much, it's a universal language. That's the only
Yeah.
thing people understand in there. That's all people understand is
That's the
violence.
only thing. That's the only thing, and that's the thing about it. Coming into the outside, like getting back to society, like switching that switch back on, switching it off. It's hard to do
Right.
because that's
No,
all you
yeah.
know.
Yeah, to this day, like I ain't ashamed to say it, I'm medicated. Like I'm diagnosed. Like I've been to enough counselors and shrinks and all that. Like I have bipolar PTSD. You know what I mean? And the bipolarness come from that environment. I wasn't always bipolar, but I became bipolar in that bitch because the mood in there, you don't really get to choose the mood. The mood can switch at the drop of a dime. You know what I mean? You can
Yeah.
be having a great day and something happened where you get locked in that cell and you're not coming out for the next 2 weeks. And it's like, man, fuck, I had moves to make. I ain't got enough commissary to last me. Like, any
It's
little
so
thing can set
stressful.
your mood off. It's
It's so
probably one
stressful.
of the most high tension environments next to like somebody that's in combat. And I'm not comparing us to any type of combat vets. That's not what I'm doing. So don't nobody put words in my mouth. But that's what I would compare it to. Is combat, because you never, with combat, them dudes never know when shit's gonna jump off. They just be walking, all of a sudden it's pow pow, and then you react. That's prison. You never know when shit's gonna jump off. As time goes on, you get a better sense for it. If something's about to happen and then you can feel it in the air. But you can't feel when two dudes just have a disagreement and just clash all of a sudden. But if it's something big, and anybody watching that's done time can tell you this, anytime it's something big about to take place on that yard, it's like everything about the yard is different. From the
Yeah, it
way you
is.
hear things to the way you observe things. It's like even the fucking air is different out there. It just seems to get drier. Like your
I'll give
mouth
you one
gets dry.
example. I'll give you one example. You know, everybody be spread out at normally on the yard. When you see people grouped up in groups,
Oh
then
yeah,
you know something's about
find,
to happen.
yeah, find your people. When you see
Yeah,
people grouped up like that, go whoever it is you rock with, go get with your people right the fuck now, or carry your scary ass back in the building because that's a key indicator. When you look off in different directions and you got these dudes there, dudes ain't walking the track. You know what I mean? Basketball ain't bouncing. Ain't nobody slapping their handball. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like even the dudes lifting weights are sitting on the benches. They're not even laying back. You know what I mean? The bitches are sitting there looking around like you already
because
know.
you don't know what's gonna happen.
Mhm. And that
I'm,
shit'll
I'm
it'll follow you. It'll follow you. I tell dudes,
yeah,
I don't want no beef. I don't want no beef with nobody in the world because I know, and I'm not bragging, and I don't proclaim to be a tough guy, but I know what I've done. I know what I'm capable of, and that shit is scary. It really is scary. You know what I mean? That over time, that's kind of who you become, and I don't ever want to do that. I don't want to lose my freedom, and I don't want to hurt anybody. But people don't realize, like when dealing with guys that have been locked up, the shit you've seen and done and been through, it follows you. It's there. It's like a scar. You know what I mean? You can cover it up, but it's still there. It's always gonna be there. So I'm
yeah,
non-confrontational. I tell dudes like, you got it. Now, if you push it, you push the issue, then I'm gonna go from 0 to 15 years in prison real quick. You know what I mean? Like, and I don't want that. I love life, like and the way life is,
yeah,
being live with you right now, kicking it, seeing people commenting and interacting. This is beautiful. That shit there is lame, super lame. I want no parts of it.
yeah. It really is. You know, it's just one of them things. It humbles you having nothing. You know, going in there having nothing and being in that stressful situation. When you finally come out, you know, you're more paranoid, but you don't want to go back to that. So, you try to stop any confrontation or anything like that.
Right.
What do you think they could do? Oh, my bad. Go ahead.
That's not to cut you off. That's what I went back in 24. In 23, I got arrested, right? High speed chase. Supposedly, a lady said I had a gun. I take it to trial. Well, we didn't go to trial. We went to preliminary. My lawyer came in with footage from the movie theater and was like, there was never no gun. You know what I mean? So, but just based on the fact that I knew they were looking for me and they were going to arrest me, when they went to go pull me, I took off. You know what I mean? Why did I then? Everybody asks, why did you take off? Because I didn't want to go to jail. You know what I mean? Like when they've got warrants for your arrest, it's not an option of pull over, talk to them, and you're not going to jail. Once you've done
Yeah, you
something
going.
wrong and they put those warrants out, you'll talk to the judge. You'll see the judge Monday morning. That's what they're gonna tell you. So I took off. I go back. I beat the gun charge. I plead out to the eluding, the high speed chase. I go back for a year. It's nonviolent, so you only have to do 65%. If I wasn't humble before, like that ain't a slice, that's a whole entire humble pie. Cause now I'm a full-time dad. I've got an 8-year-old son, a 7-year-old daughter, a wife that I've been married to, going on 13 years. Like I've established myself, big, beautiful house, a YouTube career. At the time, I had a whole entire construction company. I'm established. So going back like this go round, to be honest, it hurt me worse than the entire 10 years did. When I went in with the 10 years, I had a son, but I wasn't a dad. You get what I'm saying? Like I was a street
Yeah,
kid. I'd swing by and see his mom, drop off some money, drop him off a pair of Jordans or something, but I wasn't a dad. Like I wasn't keeping him and teaching him. I was, you know what I mean? I was more into the streets than anything. So when I went to prison for them 10 years, it was like almost like I didn't really have shit going on out there anyway. You know what I mean? Like I didn't lose a great job and my relationship ended the moment I knew I was getting 10 years. I clipped that. I'm not going to be the guy that's believing that the girl he's been with for them whole 10 years while he was in prison didn't let somebody, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
no,
it's about that.
I'm not going to be stressed over that. I'm not going to be the dude that's on the phone crying or got other dudes ready to fight with me because of how I act on the phone. We can eliminate all that. I let her go. This time go around, I have a wife, I have kids. And if my eyes weren't open then, which they were, but like I said, the PTSD kicked in instantly. The thought of going back in cuffs. It's not the inmates I'm afraid of. It's those four walls. It's those rules. It's the lack of. That's what scares me when it comes to incarceration. It's not the men. It's that cell door. You know what I mean? It's the sound of those
Yeah.
keys when they walk down the hallway. It's the don't step over that line. It's the exit for child. It's the lockdown. That's the scary part for me.
Yeah, and you know what you be doing, telling your stories on YouTube. I think you help a lot of people, because they get to live that without actually going there to see it before it happens. Because when I went to jail, I didn't know what to expect. Go to prison, it's a nightmare in there. It's a whole different world. Things happen in there that you wouldn't like. I've seen more people die in there than I've seen, on the outside. You
Mhm,
can. I know you've seen it.
mhm. Now, how do you
So
just
when
go
did you?
back to normal? How do you go back to normal from that? You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
you're supposed to just come out and just go home and make scrambled eggs and cheese and waffles and put
It don't
strawberry
work like
slices
that.
on top like nothing happened. Like that shit takes. If it ever goes away, it takes a while for you to just get past the paranoia that comes with it. You know what I mean? Seeing shit like that. Once you see somebody get done like that, that shit will instill paranoia in you for life. I don't want people
It
behind
does.
me. I don't like people behind me. I don't ride with other people in my car. You see me, you'll see
To
me and my
this day,
kids to this
I
day.
could be. I could walk to the store, and if I see somebody walking down the sidewalk, I would be thinking, better be on point. You never know what's gonna happen. The old me before I went to prison, I wasn't thinking nothing of it.
Yeah, and if you
But
do
you
ride
just,
with me,
you
you're
just,
sitting in the front seat. You ain't sitting behind me. And fuck if I've known
yeah.
you 30 years. I might have done something when we was 12 to piss you off. Like you're not sitting behind me. Like
You
it
don't see the
stays with you.
worst. You don't see the worst of humanity. And there you'll see people at their lowest. You'll see people preying on other people, people getting jumped. No, there's no fair fights in there. And when you see all that, you always on point. You learn from the actions. You learn from what you
But
see.
the one thing that always stuck out to me, especially with the gang stuff, and I never did the gang stuff. I never got involved. I had so many
Yeah, I
different
salute you for that.
homeboys that were gang, like of all different organizations. I cannot tell you how many times they tried to get me to join in 10 years. I'm talking like it was crazy. And they just knew after a while, like Jay does Jay. Jay's not, you know what I mean, with none of
It's
that shit.
crazy. If you've
Well,
been
I
to
watch
prison,
those dudes.
you
They
know.
usually are, they're the ones that this is where the paranoia really comes from. Number one, seeing people or seeing something pop off that nobody expected and seeing somebody on the other end of a knife screaming and running and thinking, this shit is fucked up. But with the gangs, a lot of times it would be their own people doing it to them.
Yeah.
You know, that's what makes you not trust people. When you see somebody that calls that guy his brother, like they're together every day. And now this guy's sticking a knife in him, or he's with a group of guys and they're stomping him and beating him down. Like that shit don't make you not trust nobody.
Yeah. You're right about that. I've been DP'd by my own gang when I was in there, and I'm talking about it wasn't no playful fighting. They beat me down to where like ribs almost broken. You know,
And these supposed to
it's
be your brothers. These are
yeah,
that's the shit that didn't click with me. That's the shit for me that didn't work for me when it came to that was one of my biggest things of why I didn't get in the gang shit. I'm like, why would I join a gang and my chances of getting into some shit go from something might happen to 100%. I'm gonna
oh,
get
it
into
will.
some shit.
The
You know
next
what I
person's
mean?
problems become your problems.
Yeah, you're not staying out the way. You're not gang and staying out the way. Cause like you said, I
Yeah,
can be the chillest dude, most respectful dude in this bitch. But if we're in a gang and you got something going on, I'm obligated by the law to be right in the mix of it, regardless of who it is. You know what
you
I mean?
have
It could
to.
be somebody that I know from the streets that ain't gang related, and if they say go, I gotta attack him. No, that don't work for me. I'm gonna handle Jay. I'm gonna handle any issues that come my way. It's good to see y'all got 100 guys to handle y'all. You know what I mean? Like, but I'm Jay. I ain't never had nobody handle my fights in my life. I never had nobody to run home to, nobody to call when it was on. Like, so I kept the same mentality. Like I'll handle it.
Yeah, I salute you for that because me personally going to prison, I've seen a lot of civilians. A civilian is somebody that's not in a gang. That's what we call them. I've seen a lot of people get targeted. You know, they become prey in there, And when you're telling your stories and stuff, I could picture it in my head. I'm like, man, he must have, you knew what was going on. You done been
But
around
they
the block so
allowed
many
it.
times.
They allowed it. They allowed it.
Yeah,
This is
they
what
got
I try to
themselves in the
tell people.
situations.
No matter how scared you are, man, just throw that fucking punch. Throw it. And whatever happens is gonna happen. But I can promise you, you'll be respected way more by taking an ass whooping. At least dudes will say he'll go. You know what I mean? If you won't go and they know you won't go, they're coming. Them dudes are wolves. That's what prison's like. Like you're surrounded by wolves and you're surrounded by just grimy ass dudes. Like they're going to come for you. And when I say come for you, they're coming for commissary. You're not buying them from property. When the TV gets there, they're gonna take it because you've already shown them you ain't gonna do shit. And
A
I'm
lot of
not the
people
toughest
think,
dude in the world, but I done had my ass whooped. I done had my shit fucked up and had to walk around looking like that. But you know what I didn't look like? I didn't look like a bitch. And for
yeah,
me, I could wear that. I could wear that. I'm gonna be the first to tell you. I fought this young black dude named Don Dada one time, and I didn't know the bitch could kick. I didn't know we were kicking. You know what I mean? Like I never been in a fight where we kicked each other. I thought we was gonna
are you talking
rumble.
about some Bruce Lee kicking?
I don't know what kick he gave me because I didn't see it. I was told about it. That shit put me all the fucked way out, knocked me out cold. Like I went in the cell on some, what's up then? And I remember coming in and I was gonna shoot his cuffs. I got low, and the next thing I know, I opened my eyes and my homeboy was above me. And I was trying to figure out why me and him were face to face. Then I realized behind him was the ceiling. Then I realized I'm on the floor. Like, but it's one of those things. Like, and
It
me
happens
and
to
dude became
everybody.
bro, and that shit taught me something very, very, very valuable. Don't ever underestimate nobody. Cause this dude was probably 30, 40 pounds lighter than me. You know what I mean? He was probably 155, 160 pounds. And I just knew I had an easy win. I said, I'm gonna go in, I'm gonna pick him up, I'm gonna slam him, and that's gonna take all the fight out of him, and then I'm gonna dust him off. When that bitch kicked me upside the head, knocked me slam out.
Yeah, it'll humble you. That's
A
the thing about
humble,
it though.
yeah.
When I've seen people in there, they're so good at it. They don't fight fair. There's no chivalry in there. They'll sneak attack you to make sure they
Mhm,
win this fight. You know what I mean?
mhm.
It's But yeah, I salute you for not joining the gang and stuff in there, man. Because you don't know how many times I done seen people fold. They be scared most of the time, and they're thinking, they might have lost their family on the outside. The girls cheating on them or whatever. They don't left them, and they don't feel like they ain't got nobody. So
Mhm.
they'll gravitate towards a brotherhood. They look at it as a family. They don't look at it as a gang. They look at it as a family. Somebody's gonna have my back to make sure I get out of here. And you didn't
But
need that. You were
well,
smart enough to know
also
that.
I was known too though. You got to think I've been getting locked up on and off my whole life. A lot of these dudes I've been in this jail with, this jail with. So dudes knew of me. I'm not gonna say like I walked in and it was like, oh shit, it's Jay. It was nothing like that. You know what I mean? But I would run across dudes here and there that I knew from doing time in other places. And my city, Richmond, like when for it not to be a gang, it's one of the most serious group of dudes you don't want to fuck with. Like it's that city, you don't want to fuck. Most of them dudes got bodies. The majority of them are in there for life sentences with homicide cases. So just on the fact of me knowing people and always being a stand-up dude, there was no larceny with me. You know what I mean? I never tried to, if I was gonna take something from somebody, that was because we had a beef or you did some fuck shit, and I took it. You know what I mean? To
You
teach you a
deserved
lesson.
it. Yeah.
I never was into robbing or stealing, nothing like that. And that shit goes a long way as far as your name goes. You don't want to be labeled a thief.
Yeah. Once you get a
So I
title,
had
you gotta wear that. You know.
I had my city behind me. So there was times like there was real deal times where I got into it with large groups of people, organizations, and my fucking city was ready to ride with me. Like, hold on, what you say they about to do? What did Jay? And dudes are coming. So at the same time, there was really no need for me to do none of that. You know what I mean? I didn't have 100 dudes behind me, but the dudes I had behind me, I'd take 10 of them over 100 of them any day. Yeah, if you get what I'm
Yeah.
saying. Like these 10 are
Yeah. I
gonna
get what
do it.
you're
They're
saying.
gonna do it to you. They're gonna do it all the way to you. Y'all got all these guys, and the majority of them are for real, hoping that don't shit jump off.
Yeah, they hoping nothing doesn't happen. But I remember when I first got out of prison, I carried around that trauma and stuff because you see stuff in there, and I tried to talk to family and stuff, and nobody they heard me, but it just goes out one ear out the other. When I started watching your videos, I remember the first video I watched of yours. You were explaining you had went into a jail. I don't know if it's a jail or prison, but you were the new person and you seen that these group of guys, they were going around when everybody go with the chow, they would go in there and they would open people's lockers and they
They're
would steal
popping
stuff out of
lockers.
there.
Mhm.
Yeah. That was the first, video that I heard from you, and I could just picture this. Somebody that's actually lived it. I pictured it all in my head, and I'm like, man,
You come
and
back,
this
them
is
locker
this kind of like
doors,
therapeutic.
them locker doors be bent in half. We call them bitch Lambo doors. You've been in a dorm, you've come back and seen that whole locker just peeled all the way up. You know what I mean? Or the hinges on locker.
Yeah,
You might get a locker and the hinges all messed up on it because the dude that was in that bed before you got his shit peeled back.
yeah. But yeah, I know your videos are definitely helping people. You know, what were holidays like in there? Can you explain that? Like Christmas?
And they were hard at first, but over the years, it's just like another day. Christmas is one of those ones. Christmas is one of those ones that is just kind of gloomy. You know what I mean? It's not a real cheerful day. The phone lines are crazy long because everybody's trying to call home. So you're trying to get the phone line situated first thing in the morning. It's just New Year's. I'll tell you this. I used to hate New Year's. I used to
Everybody
hate
be
New
used to
Year's
bang on
Eve.
the doors.
Well, not only that, you be watching on TV. You watch the ball drop in Times Square, confetti popping, bottles popping, females, the lights. Like you're watching the entire world turn up. That's I'm in my cell watching the world turn up, and I'm looking around at these gray walls and all this little
Yeah,
bullshit I've accumulated over the years that is now my lifely possessions. Like this is all I own as a grown man because I'm in prison. So I hated New Year's. And then I had that old head tell me one time, he said, what did he say? He said, what's wrong, youngin'? I said, man, I just don't be feeling this shit. Dude celebrating and you know what I mean, running around this bitch drunk. Like I drank too. But on New Year's, it gets turned the fuck up in there.
yeah,
I'm
they
like,
drinking,
everybody's
drinking.
celebrating. Like, bitch, we locked up. What are you celebrating? He's like, what are you celebrating? This year's over and you ain't never got to do it again. That's something to celebrate. And him telling me that kind of like, that shit stuck with me. You know what I mean? This is a year I ain't never got to do again. But I'd say
Yeah,
I'm a big horror fan. So I hated missing Halloween. I really
yeah, me
think
too.
Halloween bothered me more than like I hated missing Halloween, but I enjoyed when Halloween would roll around because they would show scary movies for like 30 days straight. TNT, USA would have like the horror-thon, you know what I mean? Or
Yeah,
monsters or fear, whatever. But yeah, they were hard in the beginning, man. They were real hard. What would make it hard is the family. I remember calling home one time to my mom's house and everybody was cheerful and I could hear the kids in the background opening presents. And then they put me on the phone and they start passing me around the room and everybody's mood kind of changes. A couple family members start crying. And I'm like, man, this ain't what this is supposed to be like. So then when the holidays would roll around, I got to a point where I wouldn't call home. I would wait a couple days afterwards to call home. Not to mention 90% of the people that were in that room that answered, that talked to me on that phone on Christmas, you ain't talked to me no other day of the year. You ain't never picked up the phone. You ain't never wrote me once, so I'd rather just call after the holidays. But like I said, it's hard in
yeah.
the beginning, but you learn to deal with it.
Makes you feel like a burden most of the time, because when you call home,
Absolutely.
you're asking for something most of the time because you can't support
Mhm.
yourself. You become another bill.
Yeah, absolutely.
What What do you think they could do to like stop people from not stop it completely, but to stop to make people learn from prison? What could they do? Offer the prison system? What could they change?
I think people need to understand why the way they are, like why you are the way you are. I think if you can recognize that, because I went through a bunch of different classes that helped me, like legitly helped me. Like I did this one class they had called Thinking for a Change that was meant
I
to
heard that.
like the lady told me, she said, I want you to change the way you think, right? And shout out to her if she's watching, Miss Patricia Collins. She was a counselor at one of the last prisons I was at, and I kept snapping out. You know what I mean? Like most of these dudes that were at this prison, this is a level 2. I wasn't supposed to be here. Like somehow or another, they overrode me after 8 some years on a max, and they send me to a level 2 to dorm life. I did not adjust well at all. Like I'm used to being in that cell, having my space. The respect level is difference between night and day when it comes to being on on a major, and then going from that to a medium or minimum. So
Do you
I
think
keep
more
snapping
incidents
out.
happen?
No, I mean there's a lot of fighting. It's not as much stabbing on the lower levels. Still a lot of fighting, but it's just like you live by different rules. The rules on a max yard are not the same prison rules that they are on a minimum. A lot of these dudes in here have 2 years or less. So like I've got more time. I spent more time on the toilet than you've got invested in being locked up. You know,
That's the
like
way of thinking about it. That's
like
that's
real talk.
real. That's
I've spent
real.
more time in the hole than what you will spend on your entire bid. So I wasn't adjusting well. And she came to the hole one time, and like I said, once again, shout out to her. And she sat by the door. This is a big black woman. Patricia Collins probably 6 foot, 6'1", probably 270, big ass dreads. And she like took a liking to me, not like in a sexual sense, but like as a human being.
Yeah.
And she came and she talked to me and she said, "Look, I want you to." She come out of these talks each day, like 20 minutes. She's like, "I want you to really work on changing the way you think." And that to me, that was like the craziest shit you could say. I am who I am. I can't change the way I think. So she started telling me, she was like, "Oh, you can, and you will. You just have to learn how to." So she got me to this point where she's like, the next time something pisses you off and you go to lash out at somebody, rather than do that, stop for a second and think about what you're about to do. Think about the consequences. Think about you're going to go back to the hole. Your release date's going to change again. You're going to have to tell your son that you're always talking about, that you're not getting out when you're supposed to once again. Because I maxed my release date out. You know what I mean? Like I did my shit all the way to the door. I didn't have no good time. I was just fucking up. So I get into it with a dude out back of the building. I get out the hole. I take my towel and I throw it on the weight bench. Everybody knows if there's a towel there, that means somebody claimed that. You don't touch nobody's towel. You don't move their towel. But like I told you, these rules on the max yard are different than the rules over here. A lot of these dudes are green. They're fresh from the
Yeah.
jail. They've not seen what can happen for touching somebody's shit. Something as simple as a towel. They don't know what can happen behind this. So I come out. I went back in again. I come out and dude had moved my towel. And I say, "What's up, bro?" Like, yo, hold up. I got the bench, man. My shit was on it. Like, you moved my shit? And he was like, "Yeah, I ain't think nobody was using it." I was like, "Well, that was my shit was on here." And I instantly want to go into fight mode. I don't want to talk. I don't want to do nothing. I'm gonna punch you in your face. Like, you must think I'm a bitch, because that's what I was taught at the last compound. Is that if
That's what
somebody
you
does
think.
that,
Yeah.
they don't respect you. Not knowing this dude don't know no better. You know what I mean? He's fresh from the jail, goes home in 6 months. Like everything she said to me, I played it back. Like, recognize what you're about to do. Instantly ask yourself, is what the consequences for whatever's about to happen, are they warranted? Is it really that serious? So I stood there for a minute, and instantly first thing I'm thinking is like, lash out, violence, violence, violence. And I could hear this lady saying, like, change the way you think. And I thought about it for a second. And I said, yo, it's really not to him. I didn't say it to myself. I'm like, it's really not that serious, man. It's really not that serious. So I tell homeboy, I said, look, man, I don't know if you know or not, but if it's a towel up there, somebody put that there, that means they got the bench. Oh, my bad, man. I ain't even mean nothing by it. Like, I ain't even know it was like that. I said, well, look, just do your set. Let me get the bench after you. If anybody asks, I got the bench after you. So then I started trying to use that moving forward in life, like, because I'm quick to lose my temper. Try to grab that split second before that happens to think. If you got a
Yeah.
short fuse, use that little bit of fuse you got to think before you explode, man. And that
When
shit
most
helped me throughout life.
when most people, they're about to do something, crash out, they don't think about it. They just go and
No,
head
that's it.
first.
That's
So you use
or you sat and thought about it a whole lot.
Yeah,
and,
or that.
and then
Yeah,
and hyped yourself up to the point you're like, man, I gotta do this shit. I gotta do this shit. I
God,
gotta do this
yeah.
shit. You know what I mean? No, you really think, do I really gotta do this shit? No. No, looking back on it now as a free man, as a productive citizen in society, all that shit was for nothing. That shit was stupid. It was for
Do you use
nothing.
that thinking? Do you use that what she taught you? You use it till this day?
Yeah, hell yeah, hell yeah. That's why I tell people like I know what I'm capable of. I know what's gonna happen if you get me to go there. You know, so my conscious way of thinking now is we're not going there. Run up on me, then that's what we have to do. But
Yeah,
outside of that, your little words and all that, I don't believe you. You need more people type shit. You know what I mean? Like, I don't believe none of that. Anybody can say whatever
yeah,
they want these days. It's the internet. This is like the army. Be all you want to be. You know what I mean? You can be undefeated. Never fought a guy that was less than 300 pounds if that's who you want to be on the internet. I'm gonna be Jay, man. I'm cool with that.
yeah. Since it helped you so much, you know, you think you should say it to some of your when you telling some of your videos, it could probably help somebody else out if it helped you.
I did early on. I spoke about it.
All
It's
right.
in a lot. I talked about it a lot in my earlier videos. But yeah, man, change the way you think. Thinking for a change. These are several programs they implemented here that you had to take before leaving. You know what I mean? If not, they were going to make you go take them on the streets. So you might as well. You ain't got shit else to do in there. Go take the class. You know.
Yeah.
But
So when you was in prison or jail, what was your least favorite meal in there?
Neat rock,
Meat rock. That's mine too. I say it all the time on my channel. Meat rock.
meat
They
rock.
call it monkey brain too. Monkey brain.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I've heard it called meat rock, wolf foot, like that. I don't know what that is, but that's not food. I don't know. I don't.
Yeah, it's not.
No,
I,
I don't know
I
what it
think it's
is.
made out of plants or something. I don't
It's
know.
no, it's made out of a whole bunch of shit. It's a whole bunch of just
Oh,
leftover shit thrown together, grinded up, and baked on a sheet. Like
yeah.
it's
I
disgusting.
usually ask these questions because I want to ask questions nobody's ever really asked for. What was your favorite meal, excluding chicken on the bone?
Probably the hot dog tray.
I can see
Hot
that.
dog
Yeah,
tray.
they were pretty good. Yeah,
The hot dog
yeah.
tray. I mean, because the spaghetti was always really bland. Goulash is disgusting. I didn't like the chili mac. I don't know if y'all had chili mac.
But- Oh yeah, the
Chili
chili mac. I can't stand that, man.
can't
I
stand it.
can't
So
stand
like,
it.
there's only some of that shit's not even like you really got to be hungry. Like there's some things
It's
I
not
won't
real
eat.
meat. It's
No,
not
there's
real
some
meat.
things I don't eat. Like I don't eat cabbage no more. I don't know if they cabbage y'all to death. They cabbaged and potatoed us to death. You're gonna eat
They
cabbage
give us
at
a lot
least
of
once a
beans.
day, and you're gonna eat a lot of beans, but you're gonna eat potatoes 3 times a day. You're gonna have your potato on your tray in some shape or form 3 times a day. So I'm not a big fan of potatoes no more either.
Yeah. Like since I ain't gonna lie, since I've been out, I barely eat noodles or any of that. I don't want none of that.
No, I throw them shits away. Like I had to stop doing it because I realized the kids like it. Why you throw the noodles away, Dad? I'm like, I'll go get y'all some noodles.
Hell, you
Uh,
think you think if somebody give you a pack of noodles and start having you make you have flashbacks, you're like, oh, get that shit away from me.
yeah, I don't want no parts of it. I don't want no parts of it. From the crunching it up to I don't want no parts of it.
when did you when you were locked up, did you think you were gonna be doing what you're doing now? Did you have any idea?
I knew I was gonna end up doing something that revolved around people. I didn't know what it was gonna be. I didn't know anything about a YouTube. I didn't know what YouTube was. You know, like I came home in 2014 and I jumped straight into doing construction. And after less than a year of working for somebody else, I started my own company. But I was always told the place they sent me to for the very like for reentry is what it's called. For it was like the last 13 months of my bid or something like that. Um, you had to get up and speak at times. It was therapeutic community. You know what I mean? Like you had to like get up in front of the guys and talk. And dudes used to love when I would talk, like when I would get up and tell stories or whatever. Y'all give me a topic and we'll talk about it, right? And I would get up there and dudes would be like, "Yo, I was fucking with that," and that's not something you really see. Dudes, when they got to do them little groups and shit, they fuck off.
Yeah.
They're not usually paying attention to the dude that's talking. Like I would have the room's attention, the counselors, the guards, like everybody would like lock in on me. You know what I
People are
mean? And I
starting to
realized,
volunteer you to go up there and do it now.
right, like I like dudes like, come on, Jay, please get up there, man. So I realized that like I had some sort of a gift when it comes to talking to people. And I really thought that I was going to end up like as an inner city youth counselor or something along those lines. But the construction company took off. With my construction company, all the dreams of like being this counselor person or doing this and that got put on the back burner because now I have employees. Now I have, deadlines with jobs and life takes its course. But then in 2020, COVID hit. And I had so much, like you said, you would talk to people, nobody understood.
Yeah.
I had so much bottled up in me, so many memories that it felt like it was just like over flooding my brain at times. Like I would think my brain would go from one thing to the next. So I dropped my first video, January 20th of 2020. And it didn't really do anything. I wasn't looking for it to do anything. I just wanted to connect with people like me. Or hopefully my story would reach somebody and they wouldn't become somebody in one of my stories, or they would never have to go through
Yeah.
any of the things I went through. It was about a year, to be exact, right at a year. I didn't even have 1,000 subs. I think I had like 800, 900 and some subs when my channel took off. And, it was never about money. It was never about fame. For me, it was very, very therapeutic to hear
Yeah. It
somebody
becomes like a
say,
mission.
I was gonna crash out, bro. I was really gonna do something stupid last night. And on the way there, I threw my earbuds in and I caught your video and it made me turn my car around and go home. The first time I got a comment like that, that was the reward. That was the payday. That was the payout for me. You know what I mean? Just to know that I could reach people and I could teach people and I could help people. And that everything I went through meant something. You know what I mean? It meant that I could turn a negative into a positive. There's not many times in life you can do that. And then it like legitly really took the fuck off. Like the channel blew up. And so from there I was like, all right, let's do this. You know what I mean? Like I'm gonna give it to you. I'm not gonna give you some of it. I'm gonna give it all to you. Throughout the years, I'm just gonna give y'all everything I've ever been through. I started doing this at 11 years old. Spent almost all of my life locked up. Like I have stories that sometimes I haven't thought about in 20 years. And I'll be sitting there watching TV with my wife or something, laying in the bed, and boom, the
It'll
story will
just
come to
pop
my
up.
mind. And I'm like, damn, I
Yeah. It
forgot
happens to
all
me
about that
too.
dude. And then when I'm like, damn, I forgot all about that dude, right? So I think of that story, and I'm like, damn, and he had this happen, and this happened, and that happened. Oh, and then he used to hang out with such and such that had this happen, and that happened, and this happened, and like then all these different incidents and stories just start flooding into my head. I'm like, all right, I got to get this shit out. I got to get this shit out. Record, you know what I mean? And I put it out there, and it's been a blessing. It's what I continue to do to this day.
Yeah, that same thing. It happens to me all the time. Matter of fact, the other day, I don't know how I forgot about this, but I remember when I was locked up, this guy who used to be walking around all the time, and half his face looked like it was melted. Like like when plastic's melted, that's what his face looked like. I forgot all about it. Well, the story was that somebody had a whole bunch of baby oil. They put it in the microwave and they threw it
I've
on him.
seen it.
I did an interview. Huh?
I've seen it done. That
You
is
seen that?
some that shit.
People do
They
that.
peel your whole face off.
Yeah,
Like I seen a black
and
dude peel his face, and that shit was salmon pink. When he pulled his hand down, his face went from brown to legitly look like salmon. My bad. Go ahead.
no, you good, man. It was just seeing his face because sometimes it looked like some of his face was like bleeding sometimes out of nowheres, because his skin is so thin in certain places,
Hmm.
and I was like, damn, man, he had a in prison and now he's got to wear that for the rest of his life.
Hmm.
I was like, I don't even know
Hmm.
how I forgot that. But just things become normal to you in there.
And that's
Do
the
you
scary
remember
part.
Yeah.
That's scary. That's normal. That's the shit
You
people
said
should
you
never.
seen that?
I've seen shit. Yeah, I've seen that. I've seen fish oil. Like I've seen dude take the,
I didn't
you
even
can
think
get
about that.
the fish oil. Fuck yeah, I've seen fish oil, but they'll mix that baby oil up, man, and you can't get it off. It's oil, and your first reaction when something wet gets thrown on you is to wipe. You know what I mean? Or when something hot's on you, try to brush it off, and just you make contact with that boiling oil, and the moment you do, anything you touch is gonna slide. Anywhere it hits, it's
You're
instantly gonna
scared.
bubble up. You know what I mean? You'll have a bubble on your cheek, you know, the size of a coffee cup. You know what I mean? Full
Yeah.
of fluids. Like, that shit just gave me goosebumps.
All right. Yeah, it's a little fixed. But yeah, I'm extra paranoid now. Like it's to a point where when I got out, I had to start taking meds for the paranoia. But I couldn't even, Do you remember your first video that you made? What was it about?
Just a day in my life. Like it was just an introduction, you know what I mean, of who I was. The one that went viral, and it's people are so weird, man. I love it, right? This is how weird people are. You'll tell a video, prison rape is a real thing. Dudes getting
Oh yeah, it
victimized
is.
is a very real thing. I've seen it. I've heard it in the middle of the night. You know what I mean? I've heard horror stories from other dudes. It's a real thing. I dropped the video "Graped in a Prison Shower." That video, and I'm talking about I have been doing all types of positive stuff. Trying to do that. That video blew up. That would be the video that took off. And people would be like, you, why would you talk about something like this? I'm not listening to this. Then the next time I talked about it, that same person would be in the comment section. Then if I did another video on it 6 months down the road or something related to that, that same person would be in the comment section. It's like you hate it, but you can't stop watching it. You hate it, but
Yeah.
you're intrigued by it. But that would be the first video that really took off was the Graped in a Prison Shower video. But prior to that, I was just telling my stories, like it was a lot more of my day-to-day life. I show behind the scenes on like I had the marquises, I had to lift the marquises with the big rims, and I was
Oh
always
yeah.
at work. I was always in my work truck. So people got to see a little bit more of my life, but then it took off and yeah, like I said, man, that's what I do now. I'm blessed. Like there's no other way to put it. I'm blessed.
So you think you were like trying to like forewarn people about going to prison, and they weren't like people were listening to you, but when you started talking about something, it
Well, I don't know what it is. I can't dissect it. You could make a video right now called "How to Save Your Child from the Streets," right? And it would do terrible. You could do a video tomorrow, kid gunned down in the streets, and it'll do great. Like we're at a point where people just, yeah, I don't know what it is. It's weird. You froze up again. Hmm. Well, what I mean, you're frozen again, Crime. You're frozen again. I mean, it's just this is
oh, that's
America,
crazy.
man. I mean, we're this is a violent nation. Like whether you want to admit it or not. Not saying everybody is violent, but everywhere you
Yeah,
look, you see it. You see it. That's what entertains people. That's what they come for. They come to be entertained.
yeah.
Don't nobody want to
You
be
know,
preached at, lectured. People are just, I don't know. I don't know. Everybody knows everything, so you can't teach anybody anything these days.
yeah. That's what before we went live, and I was telling you about it. I was saying I think I'm being a little bit too preachy in my videos. Maybe I'm going about it the wrong way. you know.
I mean, you can always put your message in there, but you got to give it to them raw. Don't sugarcoat it. Because if you sugarcoat it or you half step with it, then you're doing them a disservice. They should be scared. Be
Yeah,
scared. Be scared. You know what I mean? Like, if you're comfortable shitting in front of another man for the next 10 years, go get locked up. If you're
you
comfortable
know,
going on dates with yourself for the next 10 years and not having a woman around, go get locked up. If you're
The
comfortable with
craziest
seeing
thing
people
about it,
attack people and or having to attack people, go get locked up. You should be scared. Be very scared.
the craziest thing about it is it's all gamble. You know, when you go to prison, they're putting you in a random person's cell. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
You don't know whose cell you're going into. That's going to determine what you're about to get into. You know, you
that
can have
shit is
cool celly.
that shit's a roll of the dice. It's a
Yeah,
roll of
it's
the
a
dice,
gamble.
Like, and even then, being locked up will do something to you. I had a strict rule. I wouldn't sell up with my homeboys. If me and you were real
Why's that?
cool, I would not, because if we fall out, I didn't just fight with some random ass dude. If we fall out,
Oh
I
yeah,
lost a friend. You're
yeah, I
gonna
can see
do
that.
things. You're gonna do things to piss me off that shouldn't piss me off just because we live together. You might snore. You might be a dude that farts all the time. You're gonna have little things that you do that are gonna become pet peeves of mine that if we didn't live in the same cell, I wouldn't know nothing about. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, you're
so
right.
I don't want to live in a cell with somebody I'm cool with.
Yeah, you're completely right about that. I remember being in a cell with plenty of people, and you know they didn't really do nothing wrong, but you know it like the snoring, um, maybe going to the bathroom and a little bit you know, piss got on the toilet seat. Like that, man. You know,
I had a
it
celly
can
used to
ruin
he used
a
to
friendship.
smack his lips, and he was my homeboy. This was my dude. I'd eaten with him countless times. But when he chewed, he was like, and I'd have my earbuds in, I'd be watching TV, and I'd be like, bro, me and this dude we were tight. And it got to a point where like I was legitly ready to put hands on him because we're locked in this small ass room. I'm like, bro, you being disrespectful. Like your people ain't never told you to chew with your mouth. Now it becomes I'm like, chew with your mouth closed. Now I'm a grown man. Now we're back to the respect thing. You know what I mean? You feel like you being disrespected because I'm trying to tell you how you should eat, but I feel like you're being disrespected, chewing loud as hell with your mouth open. Those things
Yeah,
wouldn't bother me about somebody if we didn't live together. So I'd rather
and
not say, I'm not gonna say be in a cell with just a random ass person, but I don't want to be in a cell with somebody I'm super cool with.
yeah, and by you coming to him, he's thinking that you're disrespecting him. You know what I mean? I had some questions that I asked my members. I asked them to give me a couple questions, and I'm about to get to them. But I had a question. What's your favorite prison movie? Which prison movie do you think depicts prison the best out of all of them?
Uh Probably Blood In, Blood Out. Blood In, Blood Out,
What?
man. It's an older movie. I'm not gonna say the one that everybody else says. What's that one?
Yeah, it's,
Everybody
I'm
shot
trying to remember
caller,
it.
like
Yeah, that's
everybody's
what
talking
everybody
about shot.
says.
That's a Cali thing. You know what I mean? Like we didn't program like that over here. So for me,
Yeah,
great movie, great movie. You know what I mean? Very entertaining. But that wasn't my life. We didn't program like that. Over here on the East Coast, we're not. You don't have to flock with the whites, and then the black dudes don't have to be with the blacks. Like over here, you kick it with who you kick it with. You know what I mean? As long as you stand on business, you gonna kick it with who you kick it with. So watching that movie, it was like I know that to be true. I've interviewed dudes from Cali. I got homeboys from
yeah.
Cali. You know what I mean?
But
My
me and you,
homeboy
we
Dirty
already
Weather.
know
Shout
that's
out to
the
Dirty Weather. Did time in Folsom and Old Folsom. You know what I mean? Like he'd been in some serious spots out in Cali, and I've interviewed these dudes. They've told me all the same things I've seen in the movie. But like with Blood In, Blood Out, with the scenes with the punks walking around and the way the drugs are moving. Then you got the booty bandit dudes trying to be friends with dude. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like, you gonna give me some chon chon, that type shit. Like, some
yeah.
dudes in there like that. I've met dudes just like that that'll play
I
nice
think
with you,
that's
get
more
up
out
next
west
to you.
though.
What's that?
Like you know, the racial and the racial segregated and booty bandits are more out west. I mean, they're down here too, but I think it's, you know, they prisons where their booty bandits out in the open and people know them to be
Shit.
booty bandits.
Hell no, Virginia,
Over on
them
the East
bitches is
Coast, I
them
don't
bitches.
think.
Here, they're active. Them bitches
You
are
think so?
active. Fuck yeah, I've seen it. Like we got a dude named Jingling that's in there right now, and I promise you, he has violated he has violated somebody in the year 2026. We got a dude named Treetop.
They're there. I
We got a
know they're there.
we got a dude named Treetop that I promise you is in the cell right now with somebody that he is violating. I can promise you, if he's got a cellmate, he's violated it. Like that shit is real. Like, and it's. I had a homeboy. I did this story, man. I had a homeboy that I ran into in prison that I tried to talk to. I was on the weight pit. He walked by. I called his name. Come up. We started talking through the fence. He's in a different building. Couple days goes by. He starts getting fresh. I mean, you ain't been here. When he got there, I gave him some tobacco. You can still smoke. Next time I see him, he's got a pack of Newports. Like, bro, you ain't even been to the store yet. You done came up. You want a Newport? I'm like, hell yeah. I mean,
He giving
he's
you
in the cell.
Newports.
He's in the cell with his dude Treetop. And Treetop is known for taking younger white dudes up underneath his wing, making them think, hey, you know what I mean? Yeah, you cool. You from the city. You one of us. I got your back. I fuck with you. I'm that dude in here. I got everything. Whatever you need, I got you. And the moment you ain't looking, he's gonna take that 5 pound fist and hit you upside your head, and it's gonna be all bad from there. I watched one
Yeah,
of my homeboys. I ain't gonna say my homeboy. He wasn't my homeboy. He was a dude I knew from the streets, right? From being at different parties. My neighborhood used to be for this neighborhood type shit. But I watched that dude within a week go from being someone I knew that threw hands, to being a boy. So the shit is like shit's very, very real. You know what I mean? Very real.
yeah, yeah. I ain't gonna lie. I seen a couple, but I was talking about like majority of like when they're really all out there. You know,
But they deny
it
that.
made me feel so bad.
The Cali dudes deny
Yeah,
that. They deny the booty bandits. They're like, nah, we're gonna kill him. We're gonna do this. We're gonna do that. We're gonna. That's the story I always hear. But then at the same time, I hear a million and one stories about booty bandits coming out the West Coast. It's the same thing with the chomos. Everybody's saying, oh, we
yeah.
don't. They as soon as they get on the yard, they're dead. Like that's not a fact. That's not a fact. These guys are going
They
in
get
doing their
extorted too.
sentences. They're not gonna have a good time, but they're not just taking their lives as soon as they come in. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, that's true. I've seen them get extorted because you know you're gonna get money out of them. There's gangs down here. They're gonna get money before they want to like kill them or something like that.
I was good
And
with
I
that.
was at
I was good with that when I was younger. When I went back this time, they were extorting this one dude, and I did a video on him. The dude Charles that had all the kiddie porn and all the shit and messing with kids, and I didn't feel like his money was any good. I felt like he shouldn't even be able to go to the store. That's the way I felt. Like, and dudes are like,
because
nah, we
you
eating
got
off of
kids.
him. We
Because you
making
got
him kick
kids.
that bag. We got this. He's sending that bread. And I'm like, nah. Like he doesn't that for me, I felt like that was too easy. Like
You think it's
have to
because
live in he should live in
you think
constant
it's
fear.
because you think it's because you got kids?
Yes,
You're like,
100%.
what if that was my kid?
It's that, and in that 10 years time, I watched so many of them dudes go home before me. I
Yeah, that
watched these
part.
dudes come in and do 2, 3 years. And they're like, not only is their crime despicable, the laws are despicable. The fact that I could punch you in the face and bust your lip, and you have a permanent scar, and I can get a malicious wounding for that and do 10 years behind it. But this man can do something to one of his kids or a random kid and be out in 3 years. Yeah, I don't want nothing from you. You can't pay me to feel like it's okay for you to exist. You should be in fear. You need to go get on the gate, tell them you fear for your life, and do all of your time in solitary confinement by yourself. You should not be able to go to commissary. You should not be able to walk the yard. You should not be able to do any of that. You should live in constant fear. And then letting them dudes pay rent. Fuck that rent. I don't want your money. I want you out of here. I don't want to see you ever. I don't ever want you to be around me. You shouldn't have the privilege to breathe the same fucking air that I breathe. Like, I don't want nothing from you. Get gone. Get gone before we do something to you. That's my view on them. It's crazy. Crazy. He's gonna be a boy. He's gonna be a boy. 100%. He'll be a big booty boy. he is going to be a boy. Like you took the life. First of all, you're a Mo. You was messing with an underage girl. You know what I mean? So you're that type of guy. And you took the life of a child. That girl was 14 years old. You took the life of a female child that you were violating, you know what I mean? Willfully, but she's 14. You no, somebody is like he's gonna go to prison and I'm telling you, he's gonna become somebody's baby mama. That's what's gonna happen. He gonna go in that bitch. He's going in a tight end and gonna come out that bitch a wide receiver. Watch what I tell you. You- Nah, you froze up again.
I don't see him getting out of that. I don't care how rich you
No,
are. You know,
no,
charges.
he's
He's
done,
done.
man. He's done. He's done. Like
Look what happened to
I,
Diddy. You
I
know.
followed the case. I've been following the case. Like he's done. Like he ordered a blue pool that he used to, you know,
Yeah.
they
And they
found
found
fragments of that blue pool
in
within her
on her
cuts.
body. Yep.
And then the act of what he
Exactly.
did, like the act of what he did is just that takes a special type of fucked up. You are a
Yeah.
special type of fucked up to
To a kid.
take a chainsaw to a person in general. Like that shit ain't normal. No, I mean that's
Yeah.
not normal. But to do that to a child and someone you supposedly, as sick as this is going to sound, supposedly you say you cared about. You know what I mean? That you were in
Ain't
a
no way.
relationship with. Like there's a special place of hell for people like that. And they're going to, I'm telling you, baby mama status. As soon as he gets there, they're gonna stab him, they're gonna beat him down. Then eventually somebody's gonna come along, scoop him up off the ground, pat his head or ever so softly, and tell him, don't worry, all that's over with now. Hold my pocket, stay next to me, I'll keep you safe. That's gonna be
You
his
already
life.
know that. Because you got to imagine, man, there's people in there that's never going to see the time of day again. And, they got kids of their own. And then this case is so profiled. Everybody knows about it. Usually, people, you got to do something.
Oh no. Well, they're gonna PC him up. They're gonna bury him in protective custody for the first 10 years at least. You know what I mean? Let his case die down. And then after that, he'll eventually hit the yard. And it's, he's out west. So he's gonna have to show that paperwork. It's never gonna be a time where he's just gonna be able to exist. His charges are all the way fucked up. So he's going straight to max custody. Like he ruined his life, man.
Thing about it. PC, you got, I mean, you be in the cell by yourself on PC, right? But eventually you're going to get bored of that. You're going to want to go out. They got a PC for everybody. It's like a regular pod, but it's for PC. You got gang people that dropped out that's over there. They're still about that life. They just been in bad situations. You're gonna have PC people trying to get to him once he gets off.
Oh, they'll
Gets out
send
of the
somebody.
cell by himself.
They'll
Yeah,
send somebody. You know what I mean? Even in PC, they get wrecked. Even in protective
yeah.
custody, they wreck together. So all they're gonna do is
Terry
send one of their people over there to get him.
Tory Lanez. He was on PC when he got stabbed, wasn't he?
Yeah, he got wet up by the Spanish dude. Like,
Yeah.
don't I mean
All right, I got.
don't some of these dudes that are on PC, like PC is some scary shit to PC up, but don't get it twisted. You got killers that PC up.
Yeah.
Like real live killers that PC up. So you can get into it with somebody on the tier and he take your life. You know what I mean? Like, don't get it fucked up. He's still in here for whatever he's in here for. Like, yeah, it's gonna be a
Down
bad
here,
time for Davis.
down here in Hagerstown, they had they had the DMI. You know about DMI. We're close enough. They're down there in y'all's prison too.
Yeah,
But
they're big
DMI was
here.
at war with the Aryan Brotherhoods. So any
Same
Aryan
thing
Brotherhood
here.
that came, huh?
It's the
You
same
said they
thing
are
here.
there?
They're
Yeah.
at war
So
with
any
Aryans
AB,
too.
so when they came to the prison, they either had to go mandatory PC or to get shipped out to another, prison. Now I seen a couple ABs over there in PC, but ain't nobody fucking with them. I mean, nobody's like
Mhm.
messing with them. Telling them
Mhm.
that they scary or whatever because they already know what it
Mhm.
is.
Mhm.
But it's just one of them things. Now I had some viewers. They wanted me to ask you a couple of questions. This is the first question. What happens if a metalhead changes the music from rap to heavy metal? I guess I guess you're talking about like just changing the radio if a radio is in there, or like a TV or something.
Depends on where you're at. It depends on
Depends on where you're at.
race is what runs the prison, man. The race with the most amount of people is what's going to run the prison. Over here, Virginia prisons are roughly, I would say 85, if not 85, 90% black. You know what I mean? So if you're so you're pod wherever you're at that consists of 80, 90 men, out of them, it's going to be majority black dudes. You're not going to be in position to be going and changing shit. Like, my best advice for you is to get your own radio and leave your hands off of shit that don't belong to you. That shit is spoken for by about 60, 70 people. Perfect incident. I was in jail one time here in Virginia, and I want to say it was like March Madness, right? Was on TV. And you had this big old country boy in there that wanted to watch NASCAR. And he's talking about, I'm gonna change the TV. Man, they beat the shit out that man for changing that TV. Same situation. People come to enjoy something. Don't think you're gonna go change that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that TV, that radio has been claimed a long time ago before you even got
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. There's somebody walks around with that remote in their pocket all day for that TV. And that
Yep.
radio pretty much rotates between maybe one or two stations. And that's it. You know what I mean? It don't
Oh
ever stop on the rock station unless it's a whole lot of white dudes in there. That's the only way that's going down.
yeah, that's what I was thinking too. When you got a lot of white guys, you might get rock or metal, but most of the time it's going to be on hip hop or something like that because it's
R&B.
mostly yeah.
Mhm.
Somebody asked about titanium and canines. The
The
canine.
teeth. Mhm.
Yeah. Explain that. Somebody asked about it.
You can Google it. You can Google it. Canines with
I
titanium
never
teeth,
heard of this.
Wallace Ridge. My brother
They
was
do
my
that.
brother was one of the my brother was one of the first people to put me onto it, right? And I've had a Wallace Ridge is a Supermax. It's like it's where they send you when there's nowhere else to send you. They have Red Onion, then they have Wallace Ridge. They have a bunch of these high levels that are 23 and ones, pretty much, right? Then you have
Yeah.
to work your way down. They have dogs, and I'm telling you, you can go Google this. You can look it up. My brother was the one telling me about some of the dogs. He's like, and these dogs ain't just biting you, Jay. He's like, some of these dogs, they've removed these dogs' teeth and implanted titanium teeth, and they will bite your ass because if they attack so much that they stand a chance to break a tooth or rip
Yeah.
a
It
tooth
wears
out
out
of
the
it,
teeth.
right? Or rip a tooth out. You know what I mean? And now the dog's no good. So they actually have it's a set amount.
Titanium
It's not
though.
it's not every dog. So let's get that straight. It's not every dog. But some of these dogs they have titanium teeth. Like the dog is slugged up with a mouthful of titanium and will chew your ass up. You can, like I said, do your own research on it. It's a fucking fact.
Yeah. When I had a member of my channel. I guess they watched your channel too, and they said something to me. We were doing a reaction to Red Onion Prison. I was like, I never heard of it. I was like, because to think of a dog with titanium teeth, like I don't like dogs as it is already, but
Right.
you put titanium teeth in there, man, what the heck? Yeah, I couldn't believe that one.
Crazy
I
work.
thought they were they said they heard it from you. I was like, I
No,
had to
it's a
ask about
fact.
that.
It's a fact. And my brother wasn't the only one that told me. I got another dude I've been friends with my whole life. He comes home in a couple of years after 36 years. Um, he's done been to every level. He's been to, bro. If I was I showed somebody else all the prisons he had been at, and he's been locked up since '99. The man has been at, I think, 13 different prisons. And some of them he's been at two or three times. He's been gone a long time. And he
So he
used to
goes to
tell me
prison. Everybody
stories.
knows them.
Yeah, everybody knows who Twin is. And he used to tell me about the dogs with the titanium teeth. and I never really put much interest into it or thought into it until I became a YouTuber. And we got on the subject of canines, and I'm like, "Yo, them bitches got titanium teeth, like Superman status. Chew your ass up."
You gave me another reason not to want to go, get in trouble. It's all right. Don't like dogs. All right. Somebody asked a question. What was your biggest influence on you as growing up as a kid?
I don't know that I had that. That's
You
sad
didn't have
because looking back, I
a
don't think I didn't have positive
you
influences.
didn't have like a
Music was
rapper
my
or
biggest
whatever.
music was my biggest influence. Music in
Who's your
general.
favorite
Like
artist? Who, who's your
right
favorite artist?
now, mm, right now would probably be Joyner Lucas or OT the Real. Between OT the Real, Millie's, Joyner Lucas, Jada. But if y'all don't know who OT the Real is, go check out OT the Real out of Philly. Boy's a monster. But Joyner Lucas, I fuck with a lot of Joyner Lucas shit.
Let's check them out. Yeah, but
You go type in OT the Real, and you're gonna go down a rabbit hole. You're gonna be like, oh, this dude he don't miss. Every bar is fire. Like this dude don't miss. Like, but yeah,
yeah, I
music was
never heard of him.
probably
I got to check him out.
OT the Real is like that. Like he's like that. But music was probably that was my biggest influence coming up. 100% it was music. Like, and I think music caused me to do a lot of things I wouldn't have done. I was easily impressionable. You know, in the
Yeah,
'90s
same here.
when Pac and Big and everybody and gangster rap really hit, like I didn't realize they were just rapping that shit. We was really out there doing that shit. You know what I mean? Like on some
But
crash out
that's the thing.
dummy shit.
But that's the thing that when I got out of prison, I hear these rappers, and some of them are, they're talking about drilling. They're talking about you ain't nothing unless you got two bodies. You know what I mean? And they're not living like that. Half these people are not living like this. And
But
when
do
like
you know
young
how many
impressionable
people are
minds hear
in
about this,
prison? You know how many people are in
yeah,
prison because they thought that by emulating what King Von did, that it made him somebody in the
that's
neighborhood, not realizing that homicide detectives are very good at their jobs and that you
yeah,
might not catch 7 bodies, you might catch one and get arrested an hour later and never come home again. And fast forward 2 years from now, you listening to King Von on your player while you're locked up forever.
yeah.
Like,
They
no.
ain't got guns in prison. They ain't got
And a lot of
guns.
these
None of
dudes,
that.
it's music. It's just music. It's just entertainment. You thinking these dudes are really doing the shit they're talking about, and this dude's on a yacht somewhere,
Yeah,
surrounded by
that's what I
by
try to
by
tell people.
females popping bottles, and you're out here letting off a 30 with a button on it because you heard him talk about it when he's not don't even own a 30 with a button on it.
This is the craziest thing. These guys are on TV. Kind of like TV shows. Man, they want to, they want to make it seem that that's how it really is. They're not really out there doing none of that stuff. They got to make it seem like that's what they're doing. You know, it's a part of the business. I don't see
That
how
is the
people don't
business.
understand this.
I told you early
You know,
on, like violence sells. That is the
yeah,
business. You know what I mean?
exactly, exactly.
Gospel music ain't topping the charts. You know what I mean? It's rap music is topping the charts. And the grimier the better. Like look at DMX, like and rest in peace to DMX. But DMX best songs was when he was going hard. When he was talking that
Yeah.
gangster shit. You know what I mean? Like it's people don't I don't
Matter of fact, I'll give you another
we're a
good
fucked up
example.
nation.
I'll give you another good example. Remember that guy, Boot Gang? He was big a couple years ago. Big when he's out there robbing people and doing the craziest
I
things,
watched his
running the stores.
documentary the other day. I watched the John what's his name? John Gabbana, something like that documentary.
Yeah.
Need to
Now
watch it.
he's preaching the Lord, and
Mhm.
nobody's like, he's got a little following, but it ain't nearly as big as it once was.
No.
That's a good
And the
example.
documentary was really the John Gabbana documentary on Boot Gang was really, really good. It was well shot, it was put together. It was great. It was a great testament to his life, his story, his what he was doing, how broken he was, to him finding God, that whole niche.
Yeah.
It was great. But if you look at the numbers compared to him running up and Dunkin' Donuts and snatching a whole rack of donuts and screaming "Boot Gang" and
Yeah.
running out the door. the numbers are different between night and day. They would rather watch him crash out than listen to him talk about how his life has gotten better. Everybody loves a
Yeah,
car crash. Everybody loves to watch a fire burn. Everybody leaves when the
you're right
fire
about
goes
that.
out, you know?
Yeah. Well, I think that's you spent a lot of time in this interview. I don't want to keep you all night, but I appreciate you, coming and blessing my channel with your presence. Because I ain't gonna lie, I looked up to you. Everything I do on YouTube, I try to emulate it from you. Yeah. So this is a
I
very special
appreciate that.
interview for me.
Well, I love
Yeah.
the people too,
You
man.
know.
I've been watching the comment section. I see everybody in here, anarchists. Y'all make sure y'all go check out Free from Federal. Um, I do a lot of. I don't ever want to be that guy that's too big or that feels like he's better than anybody else. My microwave works just like your microwave. I wipe my ass just like you wipe your ass. My YouTube numbers don't make me mean that I should only be dealing with these type of people. I don't ever want to be that guy,
Yeah.
man.
That's what makes you real, man. I ain't gonna lie. You real as can be, yo. Real as can be. Some of these guys, I asked them like, "Yo, can I get an interview? I feel like your story, would help people." And they're like, "Yo, how much you gonna pay me?" I'm like, "Yo, I'm not making nothing yet."
I mean, I get it. I mean, I get it.
Crazy.
It's a game. It's a hustle. I get it. But if you're doing YouTube the way you should be doing it, and I mean, and you're good at what you do, and you've become successful at YouTube, YouTube is going to take care of you. Your views
I
and
ain't mastered it yet.
you're gonna get your YouTube check is going to take care of you. You know what I mean? Like what I make off of
Yeah.
YouTube is great. How do I look telling somebody else that wants the dream that I live? Well, you got to pay me. Like
Yeah, it's crazy.
And to each his
Yeah.
own. If that's what you do, I'm not gonna knock how you get your money, get your paper. Hey, I ain't hating. But for me, that's not how things are going, man.
Yeah,
There's a
that's
thousand
I
more
try to tell
ways.
them. I didn't say negatively or nothing. I was just like, you know what? I like your I feel like if your story is that important enough, I'll spend the bin and I'll holler at you when I get some money, I guess. I try to keep it like that. I don't try to put them down or nothing because I know it is what it is. You know, you gotta imagine some of these prison content creators. They were in there with us. They
Mhm,
had that mentality. You know,
mhm.
they're not just ordinary YouTubers.
No, they're
They know
still
how to
trying to
fight.
figure out a way to get a dollar off
Yeah,
somebody.
and it's normal. I ain't gonna lie, it's normal.
Yeah,
But
like I
yeah,
said,
I
I
want
ain't
to
mad
thank
at
you.
them. I'm not mad at them, but I know how to get money, and I don't have to do it by you got to pay me for this or pay me for that. Like now, if we're talking CBS, NBC, Netflix wants to do a documentary. Yeah, Netflix wants to do a documentary. What's the numbers looking like? You know what I mean? Like, but just
Hey,
dealing
have
with
you got
another
offered
person.
something like that?
No, I've had big interviews that I've turned down. Like big, I've never had nothing like that. But I've had like massive YouTube channels, like big channels, reach out. One of them I didn't even know had reached out until like 2 years after they reached out. And by the time I
Dang.
responded, this was DJ Vlad. And by the time I found out that
Oh,
Vlad had
yeah.
even responded, the email address had changed. You know what I mean? So when I went to go respond, that email wasn't even active no more. I lost that email and I got back
He
into the
wants you to come
original
on the show.
email. Would I go on Vlad? Yes. No jumper,
He
I
want they
turned
said.
down. I would go on
Oh, you turned
Vlad.
on no
No jump
jumper.
twice. Twice. Like I'm not doing Adam 22 is a weirdo. He's a weirdo. I don't
Why you
hang
say
out with
that?
weirdos because he is. You if
I
you
don't know
he
much about him.
is.
That's what I'm asking.
He lets other dudes break off dick and his wife. He is weird.
Oh, I did hear that. Yeah, I heard that. I heard that. Yeah.
He has all types of not one, two. I think it's like three different situations, allegedly. Don't sue me, Adam 22. Allegedly, where he was messing with underage girls as a
I ain't
grown
heard about
man.
that. I ain't
Like
never heard about
I can't get behind that. Once again, it goes back to the morals. You can't pay me for me to be okay with it. Remember, I told you that earlier with the dudes locked up. You can't
Yeah.
pay me for it to be okay, for me to be okay with it. You can't offer me subscribers and views and a new group of followers for me to be okay with the shit you were being accused of.
I didn't know
So the
that.
no,
Nobody
so the
talks
no
about
jumper
that.
thing, the no jumper thing was a no go for me.
See, I didn't. People don't know about this stuff. I didn't know about this.
Yeah, look
Like,
him up.
no, barely nobody talks about it.
It's a fact. It's
That's why, you real
allegedly,
about everything you say, man. You're real.
allegedly. Yeah,
Yo,
all doubles back. If I say it, I mean it. If I meant it, I said it.
yeah. You know how we were talking about like stuff like David tonight, the singer.
Hmm.
Do you feel like you'll ever get to that point where you start talking about real world events? I don't know if you do or not. I think you just keep it to the prison. That's all. I haven't
Yeah,
seen it yet.
yeah. I mean, I'm going into podcasting. Like, I've got some.
I, I
I'm
ain't gonna lie,
looking
I'd
to
watch.
move. I'm looking to move around Halloween from where I'm at now down to Florida, right? And once I get
Yeah.
Florida, I think that's when I'm going to go ahead and
Oh,
buy a
you go to
building,
Florida?
buy a location. Yeah, I'm going to move to Florida.
You know, everybody, they say everybody in Florida's crazy. You don't hear about, the craziest thing that happened in Florida, all these crazy people every week.
Yeah, but that's like you just got to know where you're going. There's like where I live at
I
right
guess.
now. There's a section just like where I live at right now in Florida. You just got to know where you're going. Like I'm not going to live in Miami Dade or you know what I mean, nowhere like that. Like I want to go somewhere that's laid back, that's chill, that I might have to drive 30, 45 minutes to the studio into the city. Like, but no, once I get down there, that's when we're really going to get into all the topics on everything. You know what I mean? And outside of the podcasting, like the podcast is going to be a whole separate thing from what I'm doing with the channel. My channel will always be prison related, jail related. But on top of that, I want to, definitely keep up with the interviews. And then I'm going to start switching into the true crime. Like with my channel, you'll still get the prison stories and all that. But I want to start doing true crime. I'm a true crime junkie. You know what I mean? Like I
Yeah.
love the true crime shit. So I want to get into it. I think I'll be great with it. I think I'm going to do amazing with true crime. That's just my
Oh, I
confidence,
know you are.
how I feel with it.
You know you are.
So that's just, I mean, I'm confident in what I can do. So yeah, there's going to be the podcast coming. And then as far as the channel, I'll always stick to crime related shit, but I really want to get into the true crime, man.
Yeah. Well, anything you do, I wish you the best, and I know you're gonna get far. Hell, you're already at top of the list right now. Anything you do, you're gonna be up there, man. I already know.
Yeah. I hope so, and I appreciate it.
Yeah, well, I want to thank you for coming on and blessing me with your time. And what can I say? It's
All
been
right.
a
Thank you
dream,
for
yo.
having me on, man. Shout out and salute to
Thank you for
everybody in the
coming.
chat, everybody that tapped in tonight. Like it's always a pleasure, man.
Thank you,
I appreciate
everybody,
it.
for thank you for all my mods that stayed up late. Everybody that stayed up for this interview right here. You had people really wanting to hear about anything you were going to talk about. So
Well, I like to talk.
yeah, and shit, we like to listen. But yeah, I'm
Look,
gonna
I
go ahead and
appreciate
end it.
y'all, man. Thank y'all for having me on. Now we do this, man. Salute.
Salute.